Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's now 5 o'clock. We'll begin our Committee of Adjustment meeting for the month of June. For everyone's information, we will generally deal with each application according to the order of the agenda. Extra copies are at the back there. Anyone who wishes to speak in support or against an application, as well as anyone with questions or concerns, will have an opportunity to speak. The committee will make their decision following each application. If there is anyone present who is not an applicant or an agent but is interested in the decision of the committee, you may file your interest with our Secretary-Treasurer. Please list the file number, your full name, and mailing address. Copies of the decisions are automatically sent to the applicant and the agent within 15 days of today's meeting. Only the applicant, the minister, a specified person, or any public body may appeal decisions in respect to applications for consent or minor variances to the Ontario Land Tribunal. The decisions are final if there are no appeals 20 days after the committee's decision. May I remind everyone that we're being recorded. To mute your devices, as well as if you wish to speak to an application, make your way to the podium. Ensure the mic is on. State your first and last name for the public record. You will have 5 minutes to speak. The first order of business is determine if any members of the committee have any disclosures of interest when considering any of the applications that we will be dealing with. Are there any disclosures of interest? Seeing none. Have all the members received the minutes from the previous meeting? Are there any errors or omissions? If not, I have a resolution. Can I get a mover and a seconder to adopt the minutes? Moved by Linda. Seconded by Adam. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Our first application to be considered is the application for a minor variance, ANPL 2024-445, in the name of Peter McKenna, and the planner can give the report, please.
Thank you. Through the chair, an application has been received requesting relief of 65 square meters from the maximum permitted usable floor area of 200 square meters to permit a total usable floor area of 265 square meters for an accessory building in the agricultural zone. The subject property is 0.7 hectares in size with a frontage of approximately 65.5 meters along Nixon Road. The lands include an existing dwelling, 2 existing barns, and an existing storage structure. Planning staff recommended deferral of the application on May 21st, 2025 to allow further review from building department to confirm if there is a potential habitable use. We note that direction was provided from the building department noting that planning applications approvals precedes building permit approvals. Therefore, with the understanding that the accessory building is not used for habitable purposes, the minor variance application ANPL 2024-445 meets the 4 tests under Section 45 of the Planning Act and is recommended for approval. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there an agent or applicant present? Okay, just a second. Any questions of the committee to the planner? Linda.
I'm just looking at the zoning administrator comments on page 5, and they actually say in there that relief from usable floor area is not required. I'm assuming they're comments on a different application, so they're not relevant to this application?
Thank you. So the submission has not changed, and those are the comments that were provided by zoning administrator at the review and circulation of the application as submitted.
Alicia?
Through the chair, there was misunderstanding at the beginning that it was an ADU, so I think the comments should have been updated, but we've discussed, and there are no concerns at this stage, so those comments should have been updated, but they weren't.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Councillor Van Passen.
Yes, thanks, Mr. Chairman. I think that's why this got deferred, wasn't it? Because we didn't have a clear answer whether it was going to be an ADU or not.
Yeah.
And I think that has been clarified now that by the building department, so
That was my
that's why
recollection
the
too.
comments are still here, right?
Yeah, my recollection. Anybody else? Okay, the agent or applicant, have anything to add? Nothing to add, he indicates. Okay. Is there anyone present that wishes to speak to this application? Seeing none, the wishes of the committee are?
I'll move to approve.
Linda, Councillor Very, second. File number AMPL 2024-445, name of Peter McKenna. The application meets the four tests of a minor variance under Section 45(1) of the Planning Act, and that no public input was received, and therefore has not been considered as part of this application. All in favor? And that's carried. Next up, we have file number ANPL 2025-063 in the name of Craig Young, and the planner can give the report, please.
Thank you. Through the chair, an application has been received to seek relief of 8.3 hectares for a minimum parcel size to permit a parcel size of 31.7 hectares in the agricultural zone. The subject lands are located on the east side of East Quarter Line Road, north of its intersection with McDowell Road West. The area of the subject lands will be approximately 31.7 hectares with 470 meters of split frontage onto East Quarter Line Road. The subject lands are occupied by an existing dwelling and an accessory structure. This application is related to the conditionally approved boundary adjustment application BNPL 2023-140, which approved a severance of 4,572.95 square meters from the subject lands, resulting in a new total lot area of 31.7 hectares. As mentioned, the subject lands are designated in zone agricultural and hazard lands. The subject application seeks to meet a condition of the boundary adjustment, which increased the deficiency in the lot area of the subject lands. The use of the lands has not changed and has no negative impact on the agricultural uses or hazard lands. The application maintains the intent and purpose of the official plan and the zoning bylaw, and the proposed variance is appropriate for the development of the land. The reduction in total lot size can be considered minor in nature. In conclusion, the application meets the four tests of a minor variance. Staff support this application and recommend that it be approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there an agent or applicant? Nathan, okay. Any questions of the committee to the planner? Does the agent have anything to add? He has nothing to add. Is there anyone present that wishes to speak to this application? Seeing none, the wishes of the committee are? Councillor Van Passen moves.
Yeah, if the agent has nothing to say, I don't want to say anything either.
No, I wouldn't go there either. It's rare. And a seconder, Phil? File number for ANPL 2025-063 in the name of Craig Young. The application meets the four tests of a minor variance under Section 45(1) of the Planning Act, and that no public input was received and therefore has not been considered as part of this application. All those in favor? And that's carried. Okay, next up is file BNPL 2025-062. Kixie Farms Limited, and the planner can give the report, please.
Thank you. Through the chair, an application has been received to sever a dwelling deemed surplus to a farm operation. The proposed severed lot would have a frontage of 52.14 meters, a depth of 62.18 meters, a width of 52.14 meters, and an area of 3,197.78 square meters. The retained parcel would have a frontage of 276.85 meters in a regular depth and width in an area of 39.74 hectares. The consent application being reviewed consistently with a zoning amendment zoning bylaw amendment that is required to remove a dwelling as a permitted use in the agricultural zone on the severed parcel. It is recommended that this application be approved, subject to the conditions. This application is consistent with the provincial policy statement, complies with the policies of the Norfolk County Official Plan and zoning bylaw. The subject lands front onto the south side of First Concession Road and contain a single detached dwelling, detached garage, and 2 accessory buildings. The retained land would continue to be used for cash crops. The surrounding land uses are agricultural and residential in nature. And it is recommended that this support be approved. And I will now answer any questions that you have. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions of the committee to the planner? Linda?
Hi, I'm just wondering, the mapping looks like the garage, the existing garage is right on the property line. Is that correct, or am I looking at that incorrectly?
We went out to a site visit. It's not that close to the property line, so the maps are only an illustration. So we all went out and saw it, so we're okay with it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Any questions? Is there an agent or applicant? Nathan, anything to add?
Through you, Mr. Chair, and thank you to staff for the report. Nathan Colme, I'm the agent for Kixie Farms. The only change I would ask is if we could slightly modify what I see as condition 3, subject to approval of the required minor variance application to address deficient lot area of the retained land. If we could just add on to the end of that, unless waived by the manager of planning services, we might have some further discussions, and that might not be necessary. So if we could add that wording, that'd be much appreciated.
So your condition 3 is what again?
The condition for the minor variance.
Oh, condition 4?
Subject to required minor variance.
Okay, this is condition 2 on this page.
Oh.
Sometimes
So
they're different.
Whichever number is your condition for the minor variance.
Subject to approval of a required minor variance to address a deficient lot area of a retained land.
Unless waived by the manager of planning services.
Okay.
If we could please add that.
Unless waived. Okay, we'll make a note of that.
Subject, any questions? That's all I have for
Any
you.
questions of the agent? Okay, thanks, Nathan. Is there anyone present that wishes to speak to this application? Hearing none, the wishes of the committee. Linda?
I'll move to approve with the amended condition number 2.
Okay, and that was, have you got that? Okay, all right. Is there a seconder? Peter? File number BNPL 2025062, Kixie Farms Limited. This application is consistent with the provincial policy statement 2024 and does comply with the policies of the Norfolk County Official Plan regarding consent to sever policies in the ag designation, and that no public input was received and therefore has not been considered as a part of this application. And all in favor as amended, as condition amended. Councillor Berry? Thank you. All that's carried. Don't like these new stamps. No. I'll just put a star there. Okay, next up is file number BNPL 2024446, Anita and Stephen Buer. And the planner can give the report, please.
Thank you. Through the chair, I'm just going to ask for permission to present 202 BNPL 2024-446, BNPL 2025-113, and ANPL 2024-447 as one, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you. So through the chair, for BNPL 2024-446, an application has been received for consent to sever parts 3 and 4 as a boundary adjustment. For BNPL 2025-113, an application has been received for consent to sever parts 5 and 6 as a boundary adjustment. And AMPL 2024-447, an application has been received to seek relief of 5.52 hectares in lot area to allow a total lot area of 34.48 hectares in the agricultural zone. The subject lands are located on the east side of Cluett Road, north of its intersection with Concession 13 Townsend. The subject lands are occupied by a dwelling and several accessory buildings, as well as solar electricity structures. The portions of the lands intended to be severed include no buildings and are currently not farmed, and they are immediately adjacent to both the north and south of the receiving lands at 30 Cluett Road. Parts 3 and 4 include approximately 2,002.98 square meters, while parts 5 and 6 include approximately 652.41 square meters. The retained lands would have a final lot area of approximately 34.48 hectares, while the benefiting lands at 30 Cluett Road would have a lot area of approximately 4,046.93 square meters. The subject lands are designated and zoned agricultural. Chapter 4.3.32 states that lot adjustments in prime agricultural areas may be permitted for legal or technical reasons. The PPS describes legal or technical reasons as purposes such as easements, corrections of deeds, quitclaims, and minor boundary adjustments that do not result in the creation of a new lot. The proposed applications seek to sever a total of approximately 2,655.39 square meters from the subject lands as a boundary adjustment to benefit the lands at 30 Cluett Road, which is an existing undersized lot of record. Although the boundary adjustment would increase the size of the benefiting lot by over double the existing lot area, the portion of lands to be severed is minor relative to the retained lot. The proposed lands to be severed are not currently farmed, so the proposed boundary adjustment will not be removing agricultural land from production. As such, the boundary adjustment can be considered to be consistent with the policies of the Provincial Planning Statement 2024 and the official plan as a minor boundary adjustment that will not result in the creation of a new lot. The proposed retained parcel would see an increase in the existing deficiency in minimum lot area, while the deficiency in the lot area of the benefiting lands would be improved. The included minor variance application would rectify the deficiency in the retained lands. Relative to the size of the retained lot and the fact that the proposed lands to be severed are not actively being farmed, the proposed boundary adjustment and related minor variance can be considered minor in nature and appropriate for the lands and would be unlikely to result in any loss of viability to the farming operation. Therefore, the proposed development meets the overall intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw. The proposed applications for consent to sever as a boundary adjustment to benefit 30 Cluett Road are consistent with the policy of the Provincial Planning Statement 2024, conforming to the official plan as it relates to consent to sever policies in the agricultural designation, and the associated minor variance meets the four tests of a minor variance. Planning staff support these applications and recommend that they all be approved.
Thank you. Is there an agent or applicant? Nathan again, okay. Any questions of the committee to the planner? Does the agent have anything to add? Of course he does.
My last one for tonight.
Okay.
Through you, Mr. Chair, Nathan, I am the agent for Steve and Anita Buhner. Just a couple small things. So on whatever number your condition would be for the 1 foot square.
So let's, which file number?
So this would be for one of the BNPLs. Well, really for both of them.
Number 3. My condition number 3.
Okay, which is also my condition number 3.
Yes.
So the 1 foot square has to come from the Buhner property, not from the numbered company. We're already taking land for the numbered company property, so to interrupt the severance, it needs to come from the Buhner property. So we could just kindly amend that so that a 1 foot square foot portion of land presently owned by Stephen and Anita Buhner, right? The rest
Kind of the original property, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the other one is condition number 4, the one that follows that, it's redundant. That covers the 1 foot square situation, so we have to complete that before we get the severance certificate. So that to me should be struck as well, because it's just not necessary.
That's the one with the roll numbers.
Yeah, that the severance subject of this application identified by being transferred to and evidence of this transaction being submitted, that one doesn't need to be in there. Okay, and that's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Does planning staff any comment on that?
No comment.
Okay, that's okay, okay. Anybody present that wishes to speak to these, any of these applications, present that wishes to speak? No? Okay, the wishes of the committee are, we have to do one at a time. BNPL 2024446. Mover and a seconder, Councillor Berry. Seconder, Phil. Again, BNPL 2024446. The proposed boundary adjustment is consistent with the policies of the provincial planning statement for 2024, the Norfolk County official plan, the Norfolk County zoning bylaw, and that no public input was received, therefore has not been part of this application as amended, as conditions amended. All in favor? And that's carried. BNPL 2025113. Mover and a seconder. Linda? You're waving at us. Okay. And Adam. The proposed boundary adjustment is consistent with the policies of the provincial planning statement 2024 and the Norfolk County official plan and the Norfolk County zoning bylaw, and that no public input was received, therefore has not been considered as part of this application. All in favor? That's carried. And finally, ANPL 2024447. Mover and a seconder. And Linda. The application meets the 4 tests of a minor variance under Section 45(1) of the Planning Act, and that no public input was received, and therefore is not being considered as part of this application. All in favor? That's carried. Moving right along, ANPL 2025055, name of Dan Verhoeven Farms, and the planner can give the report, please.
Thank you. Through the chair, an application has been received to seek relief of 433.5 square meters in usable floor area to allow a total usable floor area for all accessory buildings of 633.5 square meters in the agricultural zone. The subject lands are located on the west side of Fertilizer Road, south of its intersection with Wyndham Road 14. The area of the subject lands will be approximately 0.72 hectares, with approximately 79.29 meters of frontage on Fertilizer Road, as per the conditionally approved consent to sever BNPL 2024-310. The subject lands are occupied by an existing dwelling, 2 workshops, and 2 greenhouses, which were all included in the severance. The subject application seeks to meet a condition of this severance. As mentioned, the subject lands are designated and zoned agricultural. The use of the lands has not changed and has no negative impact on agricultural uses and is therefore in keeping with the policies of the provincial plan. Section 3.2.1 provides the provisions for accessory structures to residential uses. Section 3.2.1G states that the total combined usable floor area for accessory structures in the ag zone is 200 square meters to a maximum of 10% of the lot area. There are no additional buildings being proposed, and there's no change to the use of the lands. As such, the application maintains the intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw. All of the accessory buildings on the property have existed for many years. No new development is proposed. The existing accessory structures will be used for personal storage and will no longer be associated with an agricultural use. No negative impacts to the surrounding properties are anticipated. The application is desirable for the lands and considered minor in nature. The proposed application therefore meets all 4 tests of a minor variance. Staff support this application and recommend that it be approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there an agent or applicant present? Mary, okay. Is there any questions of the planner from the committee? Nothing? Mary, do you have anything to add? Mary says no. Okay. Is there anyone present that wishes to speak to this application? No? The wishes of the committee are? Councillor Van Passen moves. Seconder, Phil. ANPL 2025-055. The application meets the 4 tests of a minor variance under Section 45(1) of the Planning Act, that no public input was received and therefore is not being considered as part of this application. All in favor? And that's carried. Oops. File number BNPL 2025-050, Clarence Borer Construction. And the planner can give the report, please.
Thank you. Through the chair, the application has been received to sever a lot with a frontage of 31 meters and a land area of 0.4 hectares along Turkey Point Road, and retain a lot that is 0.4 hectare in land area with a frontage of 31 meters along the same road in the residential hamlet zone. The subject property is located within the hamlet boundary of Greens Corner. Both the retained and severed lots front onto Turkey Point that is maintained on a year-round basis. The proposed severance will allow for the redevelopment of the subject lands by constructing a new single detached dwelling on each severed and retained lot, which aligns with the official plan residential intensification and infilling policies. Both the retained and severed lots comply with the zoning bylaw minimum lot requirements. The proposed severance complies with all applicable zoning bylaw provisions, subject to the demolition of the current existing non-complying uses and structures, which is addressed as a condition of the provisional consent. The proposed development is consistent with the provincial planning statement, conforms to the county's official plan, and complies with the zoning bylaw, subject to the conditions outlined in the planning report. Staff recommend approval of the application with conditions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there an agent or applicant? Mary? Any questions of the committee to the planner? Does the agent have anything to add? She indicates not. Is there anyone present that wishes to speak to this application? No, and the wishes of the committee are? Phil. Phil moves to approve. Seconder? Linda? File number BNPL 2025-050, Clarence Borer Construction. The proposed development is consistent with the provincial policy statement, conforms to the Norfolk County official plan, and complies with the zoning bylaw 1Z 2014 in regard to new lot creation in a hamlet that no public input was received and therefore has not been considered as part of this application. All in favor? And that's carried. Heavier paper. We need heavier paper to get it across. Yeah. Okay, file number ANPL 2025-069, Antonio D'Estasio. The planner can give the report, please.
Thank you. So through the chair, an application has been received to seek relief of 2 total parking spaces. The required number is 5, 3 are proposed. Also seeking relief of 2.52 meters for parking spot size, and relief for 10% of the required lot area, required front yard landscaped area. The subject lands are located on the east side of Colburn Street South at its intersection with Chapel Street. The area of the subject lands is approximately 365.67 square meters, with approximately 15.3 meters of frontage onto Colburn Street South. The subject lands are occupied by an existing semi-detached dwelling. An additional residential unit is proposed to be developed in the basement of the building. The subject lands are designated urban residential and zoned urban residential type 2, which is R2. Section 5.3.1H states that the significant physical constraints may restrict small-scale intensification. In addition, 5.3.3.1 states that the development of an ARDU shall be in compliance with all relevant municipal and provincial standards, including the zoning bylaw. In this case, relief is being sought for a significant reduction in parking due to the physical constraints on the property, and therefore the development does not conform to the intent of the Norfolk County official plan. The requested reliefs for a reduction of 2 parking spaces from the required 5 to permit a total of 3 spaces, a reduction in parking space depth of 2.52 meters from the required 5.8 meters to permit a total depth of 3.28 meters, and a reduction of 10% in landscape front yard area from the required 50% for a total 40% landscaped area. The reduction in the number of required parking spaces is a reduction of nearly half the required parking for the proposed use for the lot as stated in section 3.2.3 of the zoning bylaw. Currently, the legally existing 2 parking spaces off Colburn Street are legally non-complying. The 3rd parking space with access off Chapel Street should have been removed as per the entrance permit that was issued in 2022, permit 2022-0160. The addition of the ARDU would exacerbate the situation on the site. As such, this cannot be considered minor in nature or appropriate for the lands. The reduction in landscape front yard would be considered minor in nature as it has facilitated the 2022 increase in parking and has not significantly negatively affected the lot or the neighborhood. The proposed application does not meet the 4 tests of a minor variance. As such, planning staff do not support this application and must recommend that it be refused. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there an agent or applicant present? Dave, okay. Any questions of the planner? Peter?
Good evening. I was wondering if you could remind me how much legal on-road parking there is here?
Through the chair, I am unsure of the exact amount of legal parking. I do believe there is some, but I cannot give you absolute specifics.
Okay, thank you. Any other? Councillor Van Passen?
Yes, thanks, Mr. Chairman. Across the street, the zoning is Central Business District, and if this was Central Business District, they could build like a 6-story apartment space with 0 setbacks and 50% of the ground floor commercial and no parking spaces whatsoever. And north of it, it's CBD, and to the west of it, CBD. And we're following the rules of the zoning that's in place, but is it possible that there's an option that they ask that for an official plan amendment and zoning amendment and change this property to a CBD, and that would resolve all the issues? Is that possible?
Through the chair, theoretically, it could be possible. Whether or not it would be entertained by staff, I can't make a comment on that. I will say it's about a half block away from anything that's currently designated as downtown OP or zoned CBD. So I really can't make a comment on that. Theoretically, it could be something that is applied for, but I can't state anything definitive at this point.
Okay,
Sounds like a maybe.
Well, because like I think they got a relief a little bit with 2 parking spaces off Colburn, but all that did was take away 2 parking streets off the street, so they have access to get to those 2 parking spaces, so that didn't gain anything. And the 1 existing parking space is only big enough for a motorcycle, but not a car, so there is no solution here. So.
Okay, anybody else? Dave? Five minutes, Dave.
Good evening. My name's Dave McPherson. I'm the agent for the applicants. The report given to you tonight, in my view, is somewhat misleading, and I'm going to ask, first of all, if you look at what's on the screen right now, the upper right-hand corner is a picture of the existing, or the parking space that was always existing for the last 50 years there, maybe 75 years. I'm going to ask Kendall if she would do a share screen and show the GIS aerial. That's as big as it. That's as big as I can get it. Oh dear. Okay, so there's the intersection of Colburn and Chapel. To answer Mr. Hellier's question, there's no parking permitted on Chapel Street. but there is legal parking permitted on both sides of Colburn Street. So what you see, if you look at that aerial picture of the property, the car on Chapel Street that's parked in the driveway, that's the existing driveway that's been there forever and serviced the house. Off of Colburn Street, those are two sidewalks that you see accessing each duplex unit. The owners applied for a building permit in 2021 to renovate the two existing duplex units, and that building permit, right here, was issued November the 22nd, 2021. Interestingly, the owners took it upon themselves, like no additional parking was required by the building department at that time. They just issued the permit to renovate the existing units. The owners, though, applied for this entrance permit that was issued in February of 2022. So long after the building permit was issued, they took out an entrance permit to construct 2 parking spaces off of Colburn Street. Those, and this is what I say is misleading in what you've been given, those spaces are 3 by 6. There's 2 of them. So they're full size, they meet the requirements, though there's only 2. So existing on that property now are 3 spaces. 2 of them are full size, permitted. The other one is grandfathered because it was there forever. So we're only asking relief on the length of the space off of Chapel Street. And admittedly, it's short, but that's the grandfathered space that was always there. At no time did the building department ever ask for 4 spaces that are required for a duplex. They allowed the duplex on 1 space. However, when my people have asked to construct the ADU, and everyone here in the room knows of the shortage of housing in Ontario, and an ADU is permitted by the zoning bylaw and by the PPS.
1 minute.
When they asked for that, then, and only then, did the 5 spaces become a requirement. Nobody ever asked for 4 spaces for the duplex when only 1 existed. But because we want to put an ADU in the basement, now all of a sudden they ask for 5. So what I'm suggesting is that 3 exist. There's legal parking on Talbot Street. 1 of those spaces is admittedly short, but it's been there for 50 to 75 years, so we can't do anything about that. There's no way to make it bigger. I'm asking that the committee approve what we've asked for. We're asking for relief of 2 parking spaces. We can't provide any more because it would take up the entire frontage on Colburn Street.
Okay, I'll cut you off there, and thank you, and maybe the committee has some questions for you. Peter.
Okay, I'm still a bit unclear on this. Even the picture of this vehicle cuts across the sidewalk. So my question is, do you have space from Colburn Street for 3 perfectly legal parking spots? 1 for each unit.
On Colburn Street, the site plan I submitted with my application shows 2 brand-new 3x6 spaces on Colburn Street. We couldn't make them any bigger without further reducing the requirement for 50% landscaping space.
Yeah, but let's forget about that for a sec. Do you have physical space for 3 vehicles in that spot?
Yes.
Without overhanging the sidewalk?
Right. Were you circulated with the site plan I submitted?
Let's see.
Sorry?
Not sure, no.
No? There's a copy of the site plan I submitted with my application. You can see the 2 spaces clearly identified, 3x6, and you can see 2 cars parked on there, not impinging on the sidewalk.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else?
Okay, I can't answer as to why you weren't circulated with that, but this is what I submitted with my application.
Okay. Peter?
But the only way this works that you can count 3 is to count the undersized one that's going to have a car over a sidewalk.
That would, unless it was
Smart car.
a smart car.
Yeah, it's going to be one that you keep in your glove box maybe, but, okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Questions? Okay, I'll go to the public, see if anybody else has any comments. Is there anyone present that wishes to speak to this application? No? Anything further from the committee? No? Okay, what are the committee's wishes? Come on. Come on. Councilor Berry.
Yeah, I'll do it. Motion to refuse.
Sorry.
Motion to refuse.
Okay, thank you. Seconder? Peter? Okay. File number ANPL 2025069 in the name of Antonio Destasio. The application does not meet the 4 tests of a minor variance under Section 45(1) in the Planning Act, and no public input was received and therefore is not being considered as part of the application. All in favor of a motion to refuse? 1, 2, 3, 4. That carries. Thank you. If you voted, okay. If not, you just keep it moving. Okay, file number ANPL 2025064, Thomas Kominitsky. The planner can give the report, please.
Thank you. So just one moment. Through the chair, an application has been received seeking relief of 2.5 meters from the maximum building height of 11 meters to permit a single detached dwelling with a maximum height of 13.5 meters, 2.5 meters from the maximum building height of 8 meters to permit a detached garage with a maximum building height of 10.5 meters, and 280 square meters of usable floor area from the maximum permitted usable floor area of 200 square meters to permit a detached garage with a maximum usable floor area of 480 square meters. The subject lands are located on the south side of Jenkins Road, east of its intersection with Highway 24. The area of the subject lands is approximately 39.7 hectares, with approximately 620 meters of frontage onto Jenkins Road. The subject lands are currently unoccupied farmland. A 2-story single detached dwelling and a 2-story detached garage are proposed to be constructed. The lands are designated and zoned as agricultural and hazard land. The subject application seeks to construct a single detached dwelling and detached accessory structure on the vacant piece of farmland. The proposed structures would be located solely within the lands designated as agricultural. The proposed dwelling and accessory structure conform to the intent of the official plan. Section 12.1.1 states the permitted uses within the agricultural zone, which includes single detached dwellings. The proposed relief of 2.5 meters in height for the dwelling would result in a total height of 13.5 meters. Considering the location of the proposed dwelling is approximately 145 meters from the property line, and a significant distance from any surrounding properties, the increased height is unlikely to negatively impact any neighbors. As such, this relief can be considered minor in nature and appropriate development for the lands. The proposed garage requires a similar relief of 2.5 meters in height to permit a total height of 10.5 meters. It is proposed to be located approximately 183 meters from the front of the property and approximately 185 meters from the nearest neighboring property. The increased height of the building is unlikely to negatively impact any neighbors as well. The application maintains the intent of the zoning bylaw. In addition, the garage also requires a relief of the total usable floor area of 280 square meters to permit a total usable floor area of 480 square meters. While this may be a significant increase, it would result in a lot coverage of only 0.12%. This minimal lot coverage, combined with the proposed location of the building, a significant distance from all neighboring properties, make the proposed relief minor in nature and appropriate for the development of the lands in this case. Overall, the proposed application meets the 4 tests of a minor variance. Staff support this application and recommend that it be approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there an agent or applicant? Dave, okay. Any questions of the planner? Dave, anything to add?
No, in this particular case, I support the plan's recommendation.
Dave has nothing to add. Is there anyone present that wishes to speak to this application? The wishes of the committee. Phil moves. Seconded by Councillor Van Passen. Pardon me? File number ANPL 2025064. This application meets the 4 tests of a minor variance under Section 45(1) of the Planning Act, and no public input was received and therefore is not being considered as part of this application. All in favor? And that's carried. File number ANPL 2024395. And the planner can give the report, please.
Thank you. Through the chair, this application was deferred at our March meeting, and it has come back. An application has been received to construct an accessory building requiring a relief of 1 meter from the maximum height of the 6 meters to permit a total height of 7 meters, relief of 156 square meters from the maximum permitted usable floor area of 100 square meters, and to permit a total floor area of 351 square meters, and a relief of 1% from the maximum permitted lot coverage of 10% to permit a coverage of 11%, to allow for an accessory building in the Hamlet residential zone. It is recommended that this application be approved because it meets all 4 tests of the Planning Act. The subject lands have 30 meters of frontage along the west side of Teeterville Road, a depth of 95.1 meters, and an area of 3,403 square meters. The lot contains a single detached dwelling and an accessory structure currently used as an automobile repair shop. Surrounding land uses are predominantly residential and agricultural. The proposal meets the 4 tests, and planning staff recommends this minor variance be approved. I'll now answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions of the planner? Is there an agent or applicant present? Yes, anything to add? Okay. Anyone present that wishes to speak to this application? No? The wishes of the committee? Linda? Seconded by Peter. File number ANPL 2024395. The application meets the 4 tests of a minor variance under Section 45(1) of the Planning Act that no public input was received and therefore is not being considered as part of this application. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. ANPL 2024421, Morning Peace Farms, and the planner can give the report, please.
Yes, through the chair, an application has been received to seek relief of 38 meters from the required minimum distance separation, MDS, of 148 meters to permit a distance of 110 meters. It is recommended that this application be approved. This application meets the 4 tests of the Planning Act. The subject lands front onto the south side of Burford-Delhi Town Line Road are 30 and is 30 hectares in size. The land contains a dwelling unit and several farm buildings used in livestock operations. There is also a provincially significant wetland on the property. Surrounding land uses are predominantly residential and agricultural. The proposed application to permit a reduced MDS distance of 110 meters where 148 meters is required for the livestock building in the agricultural zone meets the 4 tests of the Planning Act, and therefore it is recommended that the application be approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions of the planner? Is there an agent or applicant present? Okay. Anything to add?
Yeah, do I need the mic or can I speak from here?
You're doing fine. Well, nothing to add?
Yeah, just a quick comment.
Oh, well, then you better come to the mic then. Sorry.
We can have the diagram up again for a second.
That one?
Yeah, so,
You have to speak into the mic, turn the mic, the mic's already on.
okay, thank you. So the new barn is shown at the left and near the bottom of the diagram there, but somehow it has moved a little bit towards the left and a little farther up than it is intended.
Okay.
So the front of the new barn is supposed to be flush with the front of the barn that's right beside it. And that one shows a little extension. That's the milk house for our dairy goat operation. So that, for some reason, there was a bit of, I guess, continental drift that put it a little bit farther north and a little farther west, but that's not the intention. And there's a little square basically in the center of the diagram, and that shows as feed storage. I don't know where that came from because we're not intending to build anything there. That's just a driveway where the milk truck pulls in and takes the goat milk away.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's a little misleading, I guess, but that's the
I'll just get a comment from the planner. I hate it when the continental drift has anything to do with it.
Yes, the map is just an illustration. I agree with Mr. Van Herk, and I don't know why this was made like this. We went and visited the property, so I agree with Mr. Van Herk.
Okay, so it doesn't have any, it really doesn't change the...
It doesn't change or affect anything of the minor
of the
variance.
application.
Absolutely not. It has
Okay.
no bearing on the application.
Thank you. Councillor Van Passen, I know you have some wisdom to
Well-
add here somewhere.
No, just a simple question. Does any part of the building less than 110 meters from the other one? So like you can be farther
We're
away
not-
than that, but you can't be less, so.
You'll have to come back to the podium, sir. I'm not...
No, through the chair, I can answer that. No,
Okay.
the entire building is within the proposed distance, so he's okay.
Like, I don't
Okay.
care if the building's on the other side of the farm, as long as it's not.
No,
less
no,
than-
everything is kosher here. Yes.
And I'm not going to get Josh to comment on the Continental Divide. Anyway, is there anyone present that wishes to speak to this application? No? Okay. The wishes of the Councillor Van Passen.
See, Dutch farmers are usually only worried whether it's above sea level or below sea level, so
Yes.
I'd move for approval.
Thank you. Seconder, Linda? A little faster, Joe, come on. File number ANPL 2024421. The application meets the 4 tests of a minor variance under Section 45(1) of the Planning Act, and no public input was received, and therefore is not being considered as part of the application. All in favor? And that's carried. Okay, next up, ANPL 2025-041, Nathaniel and Allison Bruns. And the planner can give the report, please.
Thank you. Through the chair, an application has been received seeking relief of 3.89 meters from the minimum required front yard setback of 13 meters to allow a front yard setback of 9.1 meters and 10 square meters from the maximum permitted usable floor area for an accessory building of 200 square meters to allow for an accessory building with a total usable floor area of 210 square meters in the agricultural zone. The subject lands are located on the east side of Nixon Road, south of its intersection with Wyndham Road 9. The area of the subject lands is approximately 4.36 hectares with approximately 112 meters of frontage onto Nixon Road. The subject lands are occupied by an existing single detached dwelling, a detached garage, and a single detached dwelling currently under construction. The existing primary dwelling is proposed to be converted into an accessory building through a change of use. The subject lands are designated and zoned agricultural and hazard lands. The subject application seeks to retain the former primary dwelling as an accessory building with the construction of the new primary dwelling currently underway. A change of use permit would be submitted to convert the dwelling into an accessory building to be used as a workshop. Single detached dwellings and their accessory structures are permitted within the agricultural designation. None of these structures are located within the hazard land designation in keeping with official plan policies. The subject application conforms to the general intent of the Norfolk County official plan. Section 3.2.1 provides provisions for accessory structures to residential uses. Section 3.2.1b item states that no accessory structures in the agricultural zone shall occupy any part of a required front yard. 3.2.1g states that the permitted usable floor area for accessory buildings in the agricultural zone is 200 square meters. Comments provided by the zoning administrator through the circulation process have indicated that the requested relief for usable floor area would not be sufficient to meet the needs of the application. The actual required relief would be 22.8 square meters rather than the 10 that was submitted. At this time, planning staff would recommend a deferral for this application to allow for the amendment of the requested relief. The applicant has been made aware and has an indication agreement with this recommendation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any questions of the committee to the planner? Is there an agent or applicant present? No? Anyone else that wishes to speak to this application? And the applicant agreed to the deferral?
Through the chair, yes, I've already received an email from him regarding this as well.
Okay, can I get a mover for a deferral? Peter. And Phil. ANPL 2025-041, and it's moved by Peter and seconded by Phil to be deferred. All in favor? And that's carried. Oops. Hang on a minute. File number ANPL 2025-043. The planner can give the report, please.
Thank you. Through the chair, this is an application requesting relief from the maximum permitted lot coverage, height, and usable floor area provisions to permit the construction of a boathouse. The subject lands are vacant and located on Howie Ave in Long Point, with the rear lot line abutting a channel. The property contains a boat slip and a boat lift. Surrounding land uses are resort residential in nature. The proposed relief does not permit the construction of a boathouse in advance of a vacation home being established on the property, just to clarify that. This application meets the 4 tests of a minor variance. Planning staff support this application and recommend that it be approved.
Thank you. Any questions of the planner? Councillor Van Passen.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. This one did confuse me a bit, so we would be granting relief for them to build a boathouse, but they can't actually start building it until they build the vacation home. Is that correct?
Through the chair, that's correct. So they will have the relief in place so that when they build the vacation home, they'll be able to build a boathouse at the same time.
Okay, thank you. Is there an agent or applicant that wishes? Yes, sir. Anything to add? Yes, sir. Yes, come on up. Button on the right.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Steve Desjardins, acting agent for the owner for the property. To answer the councilman's question, we did ask for a condition on this variance, but we were told that this was not the venue for that condition to have the boathouse built prior to the vacation home. However, the owner has currently retained me to design, and we are applying for a building permit anticipating within the week to apply for that vacation home, which will be used to counteract what's going on here with this. Okay?
Both at the same time.
Well, basically, yes.
Yeah,
But we know the vacation home has to be there first.
I know.
And so, but the intent is that we're going to apply for a permit to build
Okay.
both at the same time.
Very good. Thank you.
That was originally the intent. However, we've had to, because of what the planning people have been telling us, we've had to kind of retract on that, so, okay.
Horse before the cart. Anyone wishes to speak to this application present? No? Wishes of the committee are? Phil? Seconded by Joe. File number ANPL 2025-043. The application meets the four tests of a minor variance of the Planning Act, and no public input was received, and therefore is not being considered as part of this application. All in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. File number ANPL 2025-061. Courtney, Don Silverthorne, Deborah Gale Hawks, Keith Fair. Planner can give the report, please.
Thank you. Through the chair, an application has been received to seek 120 square meters from the maximum permitted usable floor area of 200 square meters to permit a total usable floor area of 320 square meters for all accessory structures on the land. It is recommended that this application be approved. The reason it meets all four tests of the Planning Act. The subject lands are 6.9 hectares in size and front onto the east side of Villanova Road. In the geographic township of Townsend, the lands contain a single detached dwelling and multiple accessory buildings. There is also significant woodlands on the property. The surrounding lands are residential and agricultural in nature. And planning staff recommends that this application for minor variance be approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions of the planner? Is there an agent or applicant present? Yes. Anything to add? They indicate nothing to add. All of them. Anybody wishes to speak to this application present? No? The wishes of the committee are? Linda? Linda moves, seconded by Phil. ANPL 2025-061, the application meets the four tests of the minor variance under section 45(1) of the Planning Act. No public input was received and therefore is not being considered as part of the application. All in favor? And that's carried. ANPL 2024-422, Michael and Jamie Bilger. The planner can give the report, please.
Yes, thank you. Through the chair, an application has been received requesting relief of 70 square meters of usable floor area from the maximum permitted floor area of 200 square meters for a total usable floor area of 270 square meters for a detached accessory building in the agricultural zone. Planning staff recommend approval of this application. The site is generally flat and contains a single detached dwelling and a shed. The surrounding lands are primarily residential in nature. The site has 50.06 meters of frontage along Goshen Road, has a depth of 67.96 meters, and an area of 3.402 hectares. An accessory building has been constructed on the site, which will be used as an accessory residential dwelling unit. Additional usable floor area is required for personal storage. Planning staff recommends that this application be approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions of the planner? Is there an agent or applicant? Yes, sir. Do you have anything to add? He says no. Is there anyone present that wishes to speak to this application? No. The wishes of the committee are, Councillor Berry moves
Move to approve.
to approve. And Joe seconds. File number ANPL 2024-422. The application meets the four tests of a minor variance under Section 45(1) in the Planning Act. No public input was received and therefore is not being considered as part of this application. All in favor? And that's carried. File number ANPL 2025-056, Abram and Helen Wall, and the planner can give the report, please.
Thank you, through the chair. An application has been received requesting relief of 37 square meters from the maximum permitted usable floor area of 200 square meters to permit a usable floor area of 237 square meters for an accessory building. It is planning staff's recommendation that this minor variance be approved. The site is generally flat and contains a single detached dwelling and a shed. The surrounding lands are primarily residential and agricultural in nature. The site has 35.58 meters of frontage on the west side of West Quarter Line Road, a depth of 7.40 meters, and an area of 0.25 hectares. This application meets the four tests of the Planning Act, and it is recommended for approval. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions of the planner? Is there an agent or applicant present? Yes, sir. Anything to add? No, he says. Is there anyone present that wishes to speak to this application? Hearing none, the wishes of the committee are, Joe moves. Seconded by Peter. File number ANPL 2025-056. The application meets the four tests of a minor variance under Section 45(1) of the Planning Act. That no public input was received and therefore has not been considered as part of this application. All in favor? That's carried. Okay, next up we have two, file number BNPL 2025-018 and BNPL 2025-142. I gather you're doing them together?
Yes. through the
Okay.
chair.
The planner can give the report, please.
Thank you. Through the chair, the applications BNPL 2025-018 and BNPL 2025-142 propose to sever the subject property and create two new lots fronting onto McCall Crescent. The subject property is a through lot that is approximately 0.3 hectares in land area with a frontage of 32 meters along Glendale Road. The rear property line abuts McCall Crescent. The severed lands associated with application BNPL 2025-018 are 793.8 square meters with a frontage of 23.4 meters. The severed lands associated with application BNPL 2025-142 are 632 square meters in lot area with a frontage of 26.3 meters along the same street. The property includes an existing single detached dwelling. Surrounding uses include low-density residential uses. Planning staff note that the proposed severance does not include any construction at the time being and is limited to the creation of two new lots. Overall, servicing requirements are provided for the proposed development, and further requirements will apply at the time of building permit that include the entrance permit and installation of all required servicing connections. The proposed severance for the creation of two new lots complies with all applicable zoning bylaw provisions and the consent to sever policies of the official plan. Public comments were received and provided to committee members for review. Some concerns were raised with respect to traffic impacts and servicing. The proponent provided a technical opinion in support of the application with an estimate of 2 trips in the AM and PM peak hour that will have minimal impacts on the traffic operations. Municipal servicing is provided within the urban area of Simcoe, and servicing connections will be provided at the building permit stage. The applications are consistent with the provincial planning statement, conform with the county's official plan and the zoning bylaw. Planning would recommend approval of both applications, and would also like to make a motion to strike condition number 2, which will be required at the building permit stage. Thank you.
So you're striking condition 2,
Yes, through the chair.
receipt of a letter from environmental infrastructure?
Yes.
Okay. And the same for both?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions of the committee? Is there an agent? Oh, Phil, go ahead. Microphone?
The park offset fee, should that not be 2 times 500?
It's one, where is it? It's on both.
Yeah. Oh, each one will have one each, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right,
It's on each application.
that works.
Anybody else? Is there an agent or applicant present? Correct, yes. Anything to add at this time? You'll have to step to the podium. My button on the right.
Can you please confirm what clause number 2 was clearly?
It says on mine, a receipt of a letter from the Environmental and Infrastructure Services Department indicating that water and sewer connections have been installed to the severed lots.
So you're striking the requirement for water and sewer before the, correct?
No, we're not striking that. Yeah, that's the one we're striking.
Yes, we are striking that. Okay.
Yes.
Good. Okay.
The planner has a comment.
Yes, thank you. Through the chair, for further clarification, the subject property is located within the urban settlement area of Simcoe, so that is serviced with municipal water and sanitary infrastructure. Okay, can everyone hear me? Okay, so the municipal drain and water infrastructure is provided for the property. However, you will need to have connection from the municipal drains to both new lots that are being created. And that requirement needs to be fulfilled at the building stage, not now.
Correct. Okay. Okay? All right. Is there anyone present that wishes to speak to this application? Now, we have had some circulation here. Everyone has reviewed it, I hope. There's a petition and a couple of other emails, and I will just draw that to your attention. Is there anyone present that wishes to speak to this application? You're going to be the spokesperson. You get 5 minutes. Step out and rep. And if there's anyone else, they can kind of get in line, and hopefully you'll cover everything.
Chris Berman, I'm live next door to the proposed severance. You have our position or comments on the situation. I would ask that you look at them and think of them deeply, as opposed to the fact that we've ticked off boxes associated that are tied into an official plan. Mentioned in there is no data in the staff report relating specific details to the traffic study that was done. I have not seen anything placed on the road to give a good indication as to the traffic volume. Living there and having had to move my grandchildren off the road quickly because a fellow passing a school bus with its lights going is a bit of an issue. So as much as traffic from a firm in southwestern Ontario may not be an issue, it is for us that live on the street. And I also point out that the ponds do not live on our street. They face a different direction in another neighborhood. What they're planning on doing is affecting our neighborhood. And 2 is too many. Thank you. Yeah. unless you have any questions.
No? Anybody else? Step right up. Just leave it on for now.
Mr. Chair, could I
Sure,
ask
thank-
a question?
Peter, go ahead.
So your position is that you would be okay with one severance, but you wouldn't be okay with two severances, is that correct?
If that was what we were here to discuss, I would probably lean in that direction. But as we are not, it's looking at two, the answer is no.
Okay. Thank you. And you are?
I'm Connie Forsyth. I'm a neighbor. I live across the street from the
Okay.
property. I'm not one to talk, sorry. I've lived there many years, and never did I expect a very aged, beautiful community have a property that's going to be severed when these are quite large established homes with, large trees. I mean, I just can't believe it's going to be done. The lot sizes, the smallest lot sizes, like my side of the street, is 69 yards. I work in yards better than meters. You sever these lots, your large size is 53 yards.
Feet.
For the frontage. The letter I received says urban residential type 2 zone, R2. The sign that's posted, quite hidden amongst where they posted it, says zone 1. So what will be going there?
I will get a comment from the planner.
Thank you through the chair. So I cannot confirm that. The public notice, as was published, it states urban residential type 2. We can revert back to you at a later stage, or maybe let the manager of planning respond.
Alicia?
Through the chair, that must have been a typo because it's zoned urban residential type 1A, which only allows for single detached dwellings.
Okay.
Okay, so my letter says zone 2, so is that a duplex?
Through the chair, R2 would allow that, but this isn't zoned R2, so that must have been a typo in the notice. So it is just zoned R1A, which only permits single detached dwellings. So there would not be a semi or a duplex permitted here.
All right, my other concern is the traffic. It is definitely a shortcut for many residents of our
Neighborhood.
Yeah. I mean, years ago, we put in a complaint about the speeding going down there, and they did put the tracking devices on there for a few weeks. So, I mean, wherever you guys are getting your report saying the traffic is not that bad, it is. I'm very concerned about adding 2 more driveways in that area, right at the bottom of the hill. You're just asking for disaster to happen. Also, that land is a low-lying area, and you can see the flooding in the spring. Where's that water going to go? In our yards? The depreciation of the properties on McCall is definitely going to depreciate the value of these homes. Putting 2 new homes that would be congested in there is going to change the character of the subdivision by far.
Okay.
There's just so many concerns there. I mean, I get that they inherited the property and they want to separate it and sever it and make a buck, but at the expense of the residents on McCall, I don't feel it's an appropriate place. I mean, there's a lot of wildlife. Why can we not leave green space? I'm down at 11 Lindale. They have a frontage of like 204 yards. Goes out to McCall. It's a lot bigger. It's over 1.8 acres, I think. I mean, that place has not been severed. It's really nice to see large homes and yardage and just, I mean, why do you have to congest? There's too many things in question.
Okay.
That's
very good. Thank you.
Yeah.
The planner had to, you'll get a turn at the end, Mr. Pond. The planner had a comment.
Yes, thank you. Through the chair, thanks for the input. Just to respond, so the increasing housing supply is a provincial priority, and the official plan policies and even the provincial guidelines are constantly adapted to accommodate that need. When we look at the parcel's fabric for the subject property and surrounding lands, the size that is being proposed does not create any incoherence or massive distortion. It is very proportionate. And again, the zoning requirements, which is enforceable regulation, those requirements are met for both proposed new lots.
Okay, thank you. Any questions of? Is there anybody else that wants to have something to say? No? Okay, come on up. And you are?
Sorry, my name is Mark Burrow. I live across the street.
Okay.
Kind of kitty corner to the proposed lots.
Sure.
I was doing a lot of Google mapping and measuring distances, and my lot is probably the narrowest on the street at 19.6 meters.
Mm-hmm.
I think 2 lots at 16.9 would just look out of place.
Well, I don't think they were both the same width.
The frontage is different on the one next to Mrs. Chance's, but there's also a hydro box on that extension, so the usable lot would still probably only be that 16.9 meters.
Okay.
That's it.
That's it?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Any questions of the delegation? No? Anybody else? No? Mr. Pond, your chance to rebut.
Yes, first thing we got to acknowledge is Chris's house was actually pulled off of the exact same situation as ours. Yours was an infill lot that was pulled off of Gilbertson's back in the day. And those lot sizes are almost identical to what's being proposed. There's 2 lots behind there.
That's enough.
As far as floodplain goes, I'm confused. We're uphill.
Okay.
So those points are interesting.
Okay. All right, that's enough from the audience, thank you.
And as far as traffic goes, those houses were all infill on McCall already.
Okay.
So I guess I'm confused by their comments.
Okay, thank you. The planner has a comment?
Yes, thank you through the chair. So just for clarification, the proposed severed lots, they don't have the same lot area. It's different. So it's 793 for the northern western proposed severed lot. It has a frontage of 23. The minimum required frontage is 15. They're proposing 23 meters. The minimum required lot area is 450. They're proposing 793. For the northeastern severed lot, the proposed lot area is 632. The lot frontage is 16.3 meters. And just one more thing, please. For the grading and stormwater management, so DevEng provided a comment for a grading plan to be provided at the building stage. So again, the merits of severance, it's to look at the minimum zoning requirements and the official plan policies. Everything that has to do with the grading, it's dealt with at the building permit stage. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anything further from the committee? The wishes of the committee are, let's start with BNPL 2025018. Linda.
I will move to approve, and just on the basis that they are meeting the zoning bylaw requirements for the frontage and everything else. So as far as the lots go, they're not asking for any minor variances, so they meet all the requirements, so I'm moving to approve. And I just want to point out that when they do apply for a building permit, there's setbacks and building height restrictions, everything in the zoning bylaw So if they're not meeting those requirements, they will have to go through this process again for a minor variance.
And drainage.
And yes, yeah. So I'm moving to approve.
Okay, and a seconder, please. Councillor Berry. So file number BNPL 2025018, the application is consistent with the PPS, conforms to the county's official plan, and complies with the zoning bylaw, and that public input was received and therefore has been considered as part of this application. All in favor? And that is carried. And file number BNPL 2025142. The wishes of the committee are, Linda? A seconder? Phil, thank you. The application is consistent with the provincial policy statement, conforms to the Norfolk County official plan, complies with the Norfolk County zoning bylaw 1Z2014, and that public input was received and therefore has been considered as part of the application. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Oops, getting all muddled up here. And finally, a motion to adjourn. Mover, seconder, Adam. Seconded by Phil. All in favor? We're adjourned at 6:26.